Abraham, revered as the father of faith, stands as a figure whose story is a testament to the power of belief and unwavering trust in the divine. His journey, as recounted in sacred texts, takes us from ancient Mesopotamia to the land promised by God. Abraham's life story is a timeless message of hope, courage, and the enduring strength of faith. His unwavering belief in God, even in the face of seemingly insurmountable challenges, continues to inspire countless individuals. His willingness to sacrifice everything for his beliefs speaks to the core of living a life of faith. Abraham's story is filled with trials, triumphs, and profound spiritual encounters. It has shaped the beliefs and values of billions, influencing history and resonating deeply in the hearts of those seeking meaning. Join us as we delve into the life of this extraordinary man, exploring the events that shaped his destiny. Abraham's legacy is a journey of epic proportions. His story continues to inspire and guide those who seek a deeper understanding of faith. Abraham's journey demanded unwavering trust in God and unflinching obedience to his commands. From the outset, Abraham was called to leave behind everything familiar and embark on a perilous journey into the unknown. Imagine abandoning everything you hold dear, venturing into a strange land based solely on the promise of a God you are only beginning to comprehend. This was Abraham's challenge, met with remarkable courage and unwavering faith. His belief was so deep that he did not hesitate but simply trusted in the divine plan. Abraham's obedience was a journey of trust, forged in uncertainty and tested at every turn. Along the way, he faced famine, conflict, and moments of profound doubt. Yet, through it all, he remained steadfast in his commitment to God. His faith deepened with each challenge he overcame. Our journey begins in the ancient Mesopotamian city of Ur, a bustling hub of commerce and culture, steeped in idolatry and pagan rituals. It was here that Abraham was born and spent his formative years. Life in Ur was a far cry from the monotheistic beliefs that Abraham would come to embrace. The people worshipped a pantheon of gods, each representing various aspects of nature and human experience. The most prominent among these was the moon god, Nana, whose temple dominated the city's skyline. It was a society where polytheism reigned supreme and idol worship was integral to daily life. It is within this milieu that Abraham's spiritual journey began. Tradition suggests that even as a youth, Abraham questioned the prevailing beliefs of his time. He felt a yearning for something more profound than the idol worship that surrounded him. While the bustling city of Ur thrived, a young Abram felt a growing sense of unease. The opulent rituals dedicated to Nana and other deities left him cold. The chants of the priests, the smoke of sacrifices, and the bowing of the townsfolk seemed hollow. His father, Terah, a respected craftsman, couldn't understand his son's reticence. "These gods guarantee our prosperity," he'd say, gesturing to the clay figurines. But Abram remained unconvinced. He saw the fear in people's eyes, the desperation in their prayers. Abram preferred to wander beyond the city walls, into the vast desert. There, under the night sky, he felt a strange sense of peace. The stars seemed to whisper of something greater, a power beyond the idols of Ur. One scorching afternoon, as Abram helped his father transport an idol of Ishtar, a sudden sandstorm swept through the city. The sky turned yellow, and the wind howled, whipping the sand into a blinding frenzy. People scurried for cover, their cries lost in the roar of the wind. Seeking refuge, Abram watched as the storm toppled the Ishtar idol. It shattered into pieces, the clay goddess powerless against nature's fury. Abram's father muttered, "She is angry. We must appease her." But a seed of doubt was planted in Abram's mind. Was this truly a god if it could be so easily vanquished by a mere gust of wind? As Abram helped gather the broken fragments, he couldn't shake the feeling that something was amiss. The gods of Ur seemed strangely impotent in the face of nature's might. As Abram grew older, his doubts about the gods of Ur intensified. He began to voice his concerns with growing conviction. His family, steeped in tradition, was horrified. His father saw it as a betrayal of their beliefs and way of life. "You shame our ancestors with your blasphemies," Terah raged. "These gods have protected our family for generations. Will you now turn your back on them?" But Abram couldn't ignore the growing certainty within him. He knew there had to be more to life, a higher purpose beyond Ur's pantheon. The once close-knit family became increasingly divided. Abram's brothers found themselves caught between their father's fury and their brother's conviction. The harmony of their household was shattered, replaced by tension and unspoken anxieties. Seeking solace from family turmoil, Abram often escaped to the desert. There, amidst the dunes and sky, he felt close to whatever force governed the universe. He spent hours gazing at the stars, feeling awe and wonder. One evening, as the sun set, Abram felt a presence beside him. There was no physical form, just a subtle shift in the air, a whisper of something ancient and powerful. It spoke to him in a language that resonated deep within his soul. "I am," the presence seemed to say, "the one true God, creator of heaven and earth. You, Abram, are my chosen servant. Leave this place, this land of idols and false promises. Journey to a land I will show you, a land flowing with milk and honey. There I will make you a great nation, a blessing to all the families of the earth." Abram was stunned. The encounter left him shaken to his core. Could this be real? This voice in the wilderness, this promise of a new life? He had always questioned the gods of Ur, but to embrace a God he could not see, who spoke in whispers and promised the impossible, was a leap of faith. The voice lingered in his mind, echoing with divine authority. He knew he could not ignore this call. He had to tell his family to share this incredible promise, even if it meant further conflict. For the first time, Abram felt truly alive, his purpose clear. As he made his way back to the city, the weight of his encounter settled upon him. He knew life was about to change irrevocably. He was about to embark on a journey that would test his courage, loyalty, and faith. The weight of the divine encounter pressed heavily on Abram's heart as he returned to Ur. The familiar sights and sounds now felt strangely alien. The faces of his family, etched with tradition and belief in the old gods, seemed both dear and distant. How could he convey the enormity of what he had experienced? The task of revealing his newfound faith to his family was daunting. His father, Terah, reacted with anger and disbelief. "To abandon the gods of our ancestors. Abram, have you taken leave of your senses?" His words stung like salt in a wound. His brothers, although more sympathetic, remained unconvinced. They had always known Abram to be a man of strong convictions, but this bordered on madness. To uproot their lives based on the whispers of an unseen God seemed reckless. Yet in Abram's eyes they saw a glimmer of unshakable conviction. Even within his household there was division. Sarai, his wife, listened intently as Abram recounted the divine encounter. Her initial skepticism gave way to cautious acceptance. She saw the fire in his eyes and knew she could not let him face this alone. The decision to leave Ur was not made lightly. It was a wrenching separation from the only life they had ever known. There were tears, moments of doubt, and whispers of fear. Yet there was also a thrill of anticipation for the unknown adventures ahead. Abram, with Sarai by his side, began the arduous task of preparations. Their belongings had to be sorted, packed, and secured for the journey. Animals were gathered, provisions stockpiled, tents mended. The air buzzed with a frenetic energy. As the day of departure dawned, a hush fell over the caravan. With heavy hearts but resolute spirits, they bade farewell to Ur. Relatives and friends gathered, their faces etched with concern and admiration. Some whispered prayers to the old gods, seeking protection. Others stood in silent solidarity. With a final glance at the ziggurat of Nana, Abram, Sarai, and their entourage turned westward. Their journey, a testament to faith and the human spirit, had begun. The caravan stretched across the desolate plains, a ribbon of humanity and livestock against the vast Mesopotamian sky. The journey was arduous, fraught with challenges. The scorching sun turned the sand to molten glass, while at night the desert wind chilled them to the bone. Despite the hardships, Abram never wavered in his conviction. Each sunrise brought fresh challenges and a renewed sense of purpose. He led with quiet strength, his faith an unyielding beacon. He shared rations, offered encouragement, and gathered his people to offer prayers. Sarai, resourceful and resilient, proved invaluable. She tended to the sick, mediated disputes, and offered solace. Her sharp wit and loyalty complemented Abram's contemplative nature. Together, they faced the journey with unity of purpose. The journey was a physical test and a spiritual odyssey. With each passing day, Abram's faith deepened. The God of Abraham was not confined to temples or human comprehension. He was a God of the wilderness, the open road, who spoke in whispers and silence. Abram's journey was a testament to faith and the enduring human spirit. Section 4, Challenges and Doubts, the First Steps of Faith. As days turned into weeks and weeks into months, the initial excitement of the journey gave way to a wearying monotony. The endless expanse of the desert, the scorching sun, the biting wind all conspired to test the limits of their endurance. Doubt, that insidious serpent, began to rear its head, whispering insidiously in the quiet moments, amplifying fears and uncertainties. Even Abram, the man chosen by God, was not immune to these doubts. He had left behind everything familiar, staked his life and the lives of those he loved on the promise of a God he had never seen, a land he had never known. Were his doubts a sign of weakness, a betrayal of the divine trust that had been placed in him? In these moments of uncertainty, it was Sarai who proved to be his rock, his anchor in the storm. "Do not lose heart, my husband," she would say, her voice firm yet gentle. "We have come this far. The God who called you will not abandon you now." Her unwavering faith, her quiet strength reminded Abram that he was not alone in this journey, that even in the darkest of nights the promise of dawn remained. And so they pressed onward, their steps sometimes faltering, their spirits occasionally flagging, but their resolve never broken. For they knew, deep in their hearts, that this was no ordinary journey. They were not merely travelers seeking a new home, but pilgrims on a sacred quest, guided by a God who promised not only a land flowing with milk and honey, but a destiny that would shape the course of history. Section 1. A Land of Plenty, a Test of Kinship. The caravan, weary but unbroken, finally emerged from the desolate plains, their eyes greeted by a sight that brought tears of relief and whispers of awe. Before them, stretching as far as the eye could see, lay a verdant valley nourished by the life-giving waters of the Jordan River. Fields of grain swayed gently in the breeze, their golden heads heavy with promise. Vineyards laden with ripening grapes climbed the gentle slopes, their leaves shimmering like emeralds in the afternoon sun. This was Canaan, the land promised by God, a land flowing with milk and honey. After months of hardship and uncertainty, they had arrived. Abram, his heart overflowing with gratitude, raised his hands to heaven in silent prayer, thanking the God who had guided their steps and fulfilled his word. Sarai, her eyes sparkling with unshed tears, embraced her husband, their shared joy a testament to the enduring strength of their bond. Yet even in this moment of triumph, a new challenge arose, a test not of their faith in God, but of their love for one another. Their flocks had multiplied during the journey, and the valley, for all its bounty, could not sustain the combined herds of Abram and his nephew, Lot. who had journeyed alongside them. Disputes arose between their herdsmen, their voices growing louder, their tempers flaring as they competed for the best grazing lands. Abram, ever the peacemaker, sensed the growing tension and knew that swift action was needed to prevent a rift from forming between him and his kin. He loved Lot, considered him as his own son, and the thought of discord marring their arrival in this blessed land filled him with a deep sadness. "Lot, my brother," Abram said, his voice filled with concern, "let us not allow strife to take root in this land that God has given us. We are kin, bound by blood and by a shared destiny. Let us therefore separate amicably, so that our herdsmen may find ample pasture and our families may live in peace." Lot, a younger man, his eyes drawn to the allure of worldly pleasures, gazed out upon the valley. He saw the bustling cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, their walls gleaming in the distance, promising a life of ease and abundance. He longed for the comforts of civilization, the allure of the marketplace, the excitement that pulsed through the heart of these thriving urban centers. "Let me choose then, uncle," Lot replied, his voice betraying a hint of eagerness. "I will take my flocks and my household eastward towards the well-watered plains of Jordan, near those cities of renown. You, with your vast herds, will find ample grazing land in the hills and valleys beyond." Abram, his heart heavy with a premonition of trouble, nodded his assent. He knew that Lot, in choosing the path of worldly comfort, was venturing towards a darkness that lurked beneath the surface of those glittering cities. Yet he could not force his nephew's hand, could not dictate the course of another's destiny. And so, with a bittersweet mixture of love and apprehension, he watched as Lot and his entourage turned their backs on the open plains and journeyed towards the seductive embrace of Sodom and Gomorrah. Years passed, and Abram, now known by the name bestowed upon him by God, Abraham, prospered in the land of Canaan. His flocks multiplied, his wealth grew, and his name became synonymous with wisdom, justice, and unwavering faith in the one true God. Yet the memory of Lot, his beloved nephew who had chosen a different path, lingered in his heart, a bittersweet blend of affection and concern. One fateful day, a cloud of dust appeared on the horizon, growing larger with each passing hour until it resolved itself into a band of weary travelers. As they drew closer, Abraham recognized, with a pang of dread, the face of one of Lot's servants, his features etched with fear and exhaustion. "Master Abraham!" the servant cried, collapsing at the patriarch's feet. "A great calamity has befallen us. A confederation of kings, their armies vast and merciless, has descended upon Sodom and Gomorrah, laying waste to the land and taking captive all those who stood in their path. Lot, your nephew, and his household, they are among the prisoners." Abraham's heart pounded in his chest. Lot, despite his misguided choices, was family, and he would not abandon him in his hour of need. He wasted no time in mourning or recrimination. Summoning his most trusted men, he armed them with the finest weaponry, their swords gleaming in the morning light, and prepared for a rescue mission, a testament to the unwavering loyalty that burned within his soul. The battle raged throughout the night, the clash of steel against steel echoing through the valleys, the cries of the wounded a chilling counterpoint to the roar of the flames that engulfed the once proud cities. Abraham, his heart filled with a righteous fury, fought with the strength of 10 men, his every blow a testament to the love he bore for his kin and the unwavering faith that fueled his every action. By dawn, the tide had turned. The enemy, routed and demoralized, fled into the darkness, leaving behind a trail of carnage and the smoldering ruins of their ambition. Abraham, weary but victorious, searched frantically among the survivors, his heart pounding with a mixture of hope and dread. Finally he found Lot, his clothes torn, his face grimy with soot and fear, but alive. As they embraced, the weight of the past melted away, replaced by a profound sense of relief and gratitude. Lot, his eyes filled with shame, confessed his folly, his attraction to the decadence and corruption that had festered within those cursed cities. He had lost everything, his wealth, his home, his illusions of grandeur, yet in that moment, reunited with his uncle, he felt a glimmer of redemption, a chance to rebuild his life on a foundation of faith and righteousness. Abraham, his heart filled with compassion, offered no judgment, only forgiveness and a renewed sense of family. He had risked his life not to condemn, but to redeem, to offer Lot a second chance, a chance to turn away from the path of destruction and embrace the God who had never abandoned him, even in the depths of his transgressions. The destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah served as a stark reminder of the wages of sin, but Abraham's unwavering love for his wayward nephew offered a glimmer of hope, a testament to the boundless grace and mercy of the God he served. Years had passed since Abraham's harrowing rescue of Lot from the ashes of Sodom and Gomorrah. The patriarch, his hair now silvered with age, his face etched with the wisdom of countless seasons, had witnessed both the boundless generosity and the righteous anger of God. Yet a profound longing lingered in his heart, a longing for an heir, a son to carry on his name, his legacy, his unwavering faith in the one true God. One star-dusted night, as Abraham sat outside his tent, gazing up at the vast expanse of the heavens, the familiar presence of God descended upon him. It was not a booming voice nor a blinding light, but a gentle warmth that spread through his being, a whisper of divine assurance that calmed his restless soul. "Abram," the voice echoed, soft as a summer breeze, yet filled with an authority that brooked no question. "I am El Shaddai, God Almighty. Walk before me faithfully and be blameless. I will make my covenant between me and you, and will greatly increase your numbers." Abram, his heart pounding with a mixture of awe and trepidation, prostrated himself before the unseen presence. He had walked with God for many years, had witnessed his power and his glory, yet this promise of a covenant, a binding agreement between the divine and the mortal, filled him with a sense of unworthiness and wonder. "Look up at the heavens," the voice commanded, its gentle tone unwavering. "Count the stars, if indeed you can count them. So shall your offspring be." Abram, his aged eyes fixed on the celestial tapestry above, felt a surge of both hope and disbelief. He and Sarai had longed for a child for decades, their hopes dashed time and again against the unforgiving rocks of infertility. Could this promise, this incredible proclamation, truly come to pass? As if reading his thoughts, the divine voice continued, "I will make you the father of a multitude of nations. No longer will you be called Abram. Your name will be Abraham, for I have made you a father of many nations. I will make you very fruitful. I will make nations of you, and kings will come from you. I will establish my covenant as an everlasting covenant between me and you and your descendants after you for the generations to come, to be your God and the God of your descendants after you." Abraham, his heart overflowing with a mixture of gratitude and awe, could only bow his head in acceptance. This was not merely a promise, but a divine decree, a covenant forged in the fires of faith, a testament to the boundless power of the God he served. Yet even as he embraced this extraordinary destiny, a flicker of doubt, a whisper of human frailty, lingered in the back of his mind. Could he, a man nearing the end of his days, truly become the father of nations, the progenitor of a lineage that would stretch across the generations? Years turned into seasons, each sunrise a bittersweet reminder of the unfulfilled promise. Sarai, her own longing for a child mirroring her husband's, watched as Abraham's hair turned whiter, his step a little slower, the weight of the years settling upon his shoulders. Despair gnawed at her heart, whispering doubts and fueling a desperate plan. "My husband," Sarai said one evening, her voice laced with a mixture of hope and resignation, "the Lord has not granted me children. Go, sleep with my maidservant Hagar. Perhaps I can build a family through her." Abraham, torn between his love for his wife and his unwavering faith in God's timing, reluctantly agreed. Hagar, an Egyptian woman of remarkable beauty and spirit, found herself caught in the cross-currents of a covenant not her own, her destiny intertwined with the hopes and fears of those she served. When Hagar discovered she was with child, her heart swelled with a mixture of pride and trepidation. She would bear the child of Abraham, the man chosen by God, a child who would inherit a legacy both blessed and burdened. Yet her joy was short-lived. Sarai, her initial hope curdled into bitter jealousy, treated Hagar with increasing harshness, her words like venom, her actions a constant source of humiliation. Unable to bear the weight of Sarai's resentment, Hagar fled into the wilderness, her unborn child a source of both solace and fear. Alone, lost and heavy with child, she stumbled through the desolate landscape, her tears mingling with the dust of the desert floor. As the sun beat down upon her, a despair deeper than any she had ever known threatened to consume her. It was then, in her darkest hour, that the angel of the Lord appeared before her, not a fearsome warrior, but a being of light and compassion, his voice a soothing balm to her wounded soul. "Hagar, servant of Sarai, where have you come from, and where are you going?" the angel inquired, his words filled with a gentle concern that pierced through her despair. Hagar, her voice choked with sobs, poured out her heart, recounting the trials she had endured, the impossible situation in which she found herself. The angel listened patiently, his gaze never wavering, his presence a tangible manifestation of God's unwavering love and mercy. "Hagar," the angel said, his voice filled with divine authority, "go back to your mistress and submit to her. I will increase your descendants so much that they will be too numerous to count. You are now pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You shall name him Ishmael, for the Lord has heard of your misery. He will be a wild donkey of a man. His hand will be against everyone, and everyone's hand against him, and he will live in hostility toward all his brothers." Hagar, her heart overflowing with a mixture of gratitude and trepidation, returned to Abraham's encampment, her steps lighter, her spirit renewed. She gave birth to a son whom she named Ishmael, just as the angel had instructed. The birth of Ishmael, born of hardship and divine intervention, marked a turning point in the unfolding drama of Abraham's life, a testament to God's faithfulness, even when his ways seemed shrouded in mystery. Time flowed like a river through the encampment of Abraham, carrying with it the laughter of children and the quiet contentment of a life lived in accordance with God's will. Isaac, the miracle child, the son of laughter and tears, had blossomed into a young man, his laughter echoing through the tents, his presence a constant source of joy to his elderly parents. Abraham watched his son grow, his heart swelling with a love as boundless as the desert sky. Isaac was more than just a son. He was the fulfillment of a promise, the living embodiment of God's covenant, the vessel through which a lineage of nations would flow. Yet even as Abraham basked in the warmth of this paternal love, a shadow fell across his heart, a premonition of a test so profound, so unfathomable, that it threatened to shatter the very foundations of his faith. One still morning, as the sun painted the eastern sky in hues of rose and gold, the divine voice, a whisper that resonated deep within his soul, shattered the tranquility of the dawn. "Abraham," the voice commanded, its tone brooking no argument, "take your son, your only son whom you love, Isaac, and go to the region of Moriah. Sacrifice him there as a burnt offering on a mountain I will show you." The words struck Abraham like a thunderbolt, each syllable a searing brand upon his heart. Sacrifice Isaac, his son, his miracle, his laughter. The very thought was anathema, a violation of every instinct, every fiber of his being. Yet the voice was unmistakable, the command clear, the demand absolute. 3 days, 3 days of agonizing silence, 3 days of wrestling with a command that defied comprehension, a test that threatened to unravel the tapestry of his faith. Abraham, his face etched with a grief too profound for tears, prepared for the journey, his every movement mechanical, his spirit shrouded in a cloak of numb obedience. He saddled his donkey, loaded provisions for the journey, and summoned 2 of his most trusted servants. Then, turning to Isaac, who approached with his usual youthful exuberance, a question dancing on his lips, Abraham felt his heart clench within his chest. "My father?" Isaac asked, his voice filled with an innocence that cut through Abraham like a knife. "The fire and wood are ready, but where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" "God himself will provide the lamb, my son," Abraham replied, his voice a raspy whisper, his words both a prayer and a promise, a desperate plea for a mercy he could not comprehend. And so they journeyed in silence, father and son, their footsteps muffled by the dust of the desert floor, their thoughts a tangled web of love, fear, and unwavering faith. Each sunrise brought them closer to Mount Moriah, each sunset a deepening of the shadow that stretched across their hearts. The slopes of Mount Moriah loomed before them, a stark silhouette against the azure sky. As they ascended, the air grew heavy with the scent of cedar and cypress, a fragrance both sacred and somber. Abraham, his steps faltering, his body racked with an exhaustion that ran deeper than bone and sinew, felt the weight of his burden press down upon him with crushing finality. He built the altar, his hands moving with a practiced ease that belied the turmoil raging within his soul. He arranged the firewood, each log a testament to the life of his son. The flames they would soon kindle a horrifying reflection of the fire that consumed his heart. Then, turning to Isaac, who had watched his father's every move with a growing sense of unease, Abraham felt his resolve waver, his carefully constructed facade of obedience crumble in the face of his son's innocent gaze. "My father?" Isaac asked, his voice trembling, his young eyes reflecting the flames that danced before them. "Bind me as the offering, so that I will not struggle against your hand. Do not let my movement, my fear displease the Lord." In that moment, as Abraham gazed upon his son, bound and surrendered, he glimpsed the heart of God, a heart not of vengeance or bloodlust, but of love so profound, so immeasurable, that it transcended human comprehension. He understood with a clarity that pierced through the fog of grief and despair that this test was not about Isaac, but about him, about the depth of his faith, his willingness to surrender everything, even the most precious gift, to the one who held all creation in his hands. As Abraham raised the knife, his hand trembling, his heart shattering, a voice, filled with both urgency and compassion, pierced through the stillness. "Abraham, Abraham, do not lay a hand on the boy," the voice commanded. "Now I know that you fear God, because you have not withheld from me your son, your only son." Abraham lowered his gaze, his eyes falling upon a ram, its horns entangled in a thicket nearby. Relief so profound it threatened to buckle his knees, surged through him. God had provided, not just a lamb as he had promised Isaac, but a ram, a symbol of sacrifice and redemption. With trembling hands, Abraham freed Isaac, tears of gratitude streaming down his face. Together, they offered the ram as a burnt offering, the smoke carrying their prayers of thanksgiving and awe heavenward. In that moment, on the wind-swept slopes of Mount Moriah, the covenant between God and Abraham was not only reaffirmed, but deepened, tempered in the fires of sacrifice, and forged in the crucible of unwavering faith. The journey back to Beersheba was filled with a profound silence, a silence born not of grief or despair, but of a newfound understanding, a deeper communion with the God who had tested their faith, and in their obedience, revealed the depths of his love and faithfulness. Abraham, his heart overflowing with gratitude, looked upon Isaac with a love more profound, more eternal than he had ever thought possible. He had been willing to surrender his most precious treasure, and in that surrender he had found something far greater, a faith that transcended understanding, a love that knew no bounds. Abraham's life, a symphony of faith played out against the backdrop of ancient Mesopotamia, draws to a close. He lived 175 years, a testament to God's favor and a lifetime that spanned generations. The boy who had walked away from the idols of Ur, guided by a whisper in the wind, had become a father, a leader, a beacon of faith in a world shrouded in darkness. Imagine the weight of those years, the stories etched into his memory. The bustling streets of Ur, the desolate beauty of the desert, the verdant plains of Canaan, each location a chapter in his extraordinary journey. He had witnessed the rise and fall of empires, the birth and death of loved ones, the ebb and flow of human drama played out on the vast stage of history. He had known great joy, the laughter of his sons, the unwavering love of Sarah, the comfort of a life lived in harmony with the divine. He had also tasted bitter sorrow, the loss of his beloved Sarah, the conflicts within his own family, the constant struggle to reconcile the human heart with the often inscrutable will of God. Yet through it all, his faith remained an unyielding anchor, his trust in God a compass guiding him through the storms of life. Abraham breathed his last, surrounded by the love of his family, his legacy as boundless as the starlit sky he had so often contemplated. He was buried in the cave of Machpelah, the land he had purchased with such care for his beloved Sarah, a final act of faith in the promise of a land that would one day belong to his descendants. His sons, Isaac and Ishmael, embodiments of both promise and struggle, set aside their differences to lay their father to rest. In that act of unity, they acknowledged the enduring power of their shared heritage, the legacy of faith that flowed through their veins, a legacy that would shape the destiny of nations yet to come. From Abraham's lineage sprang a people set apart, a people chosen by God to be a light to the nations, a people entrusted with the sacred task of carrying his message of hope and redemption to a world in desperate need of his love. Through Isaac, the child of promise, the lineage of the Israelites flowed, a people who would endure centuries of slavery, exodus, and conquest to establish a nation built on the foundations of Abraham's unwavering faith. And from that lineage, generations later, a new star would rise, a descendant of Abraham who would embody the fullness of God's love and sacrifice, a man named Jesus who would teach the world to pray, "Our Father who art in heaven." Abraham's legacy, woven into the very fabric of human history, extended far beyond the boundaries of time and place. His journey of faith, a timeless inspiration for all who sought meaning and purpose in their own lives. As we leave behind the sands of time, the echoes of Abraham's journey still resonate, his story a timeless testament to the transformative power of faith. He was not a perfect man, this patriarch who walked with God. He stumbled, he doubted, he wrestled with fear and uncertainty. Yet it was in his very humanness, his willingness to grapple with the complexities of faith, that we find the most profound lessons. Abraham teaches us that faith is not about blind obedience, but about a willingness to trust in a God who often works in ways we cannot comprehend. It is about stepping out of our comfort zones, leaving behind the familiar and embracing the unknown, confident that even in the darkest of nights, the dawn will come, and with it, the faithfulness of a God who keeps his promises. His story reminds us that the journey of faith is often fraught with challenges, moments of doubt and seasons of testing. Yet it is in these very trials that our faith is refined, our understanding of God's character deepened, and our capacity for love and compassion expanded. For it is in the crucible of adversity that we discover the true measure of our beliefs, the depth of our commitment, the unwavering strength of a faith that can move mountains. Abraham's legacy is not confined to the pages of Scripture, nor to the annals of history. It lives on in the hearts of all who dare to believe, who choose to walk by faith even when the path ahead seems uncertain. It is a journey that calls us to embrace the unknown, to trust in the God who sees beyond our limitations, and to live lives marked by courage, compassion, and an unwavering commitment to the one who calls us by name. The sun sets on our exploration of Abraham's life, casting long shadows across the sands of time. Yet, his story is not simply an ancient narrative, a relic of a bygone era. It is a living testament to the power of faith, a beacon of hope that continues to illuminate the path for countless individuals seeking meaning and purpose in their own lives. What will your journey of faith look like? What challenges will you face? What mountains will you be called to climb? The answers to these questions are as unique as the individuals asking them. But one thing is certain: the God who walked with Abraham, who guided his steps and sustained his faith, is the same God who walks with us today, offering his hand of guidance, his heart of compassion, and his promise of a future filled with hope and purpose. As you reflect on the epic journey of Abraham, may you be inspired to embrace your own journey of faith, to trust in the God who calls you by name, and to live a life that reflects the extraordinary legacy of the Father of faith. For in the words of the writer of Hebrews, by faith, Abraham, when called to go to a place he would later receive as his inheritance, obeyed and went, even though he did not know where he was going. By faith he made his home in the land of promise, like a stranger in a foreign country. May we, like Abraham, live lives of faith, courage, and unwavering trust in the God who holds our future in his hand.